chapter, we have not done ourselves justice. We have to read in context. And what I'm trying to tell us, that all of Zechariah is a message that God is sending to his last day people. They're trying to rebuild the temple, and everything they've done in rebuilding the temple, they have opposition of the enemy to attack them and tear them down as they're trying to move forward. God has delivered them out of Babylonian captivity. Yes, they should have been destroyed. And that's what Satan is at the right hand of Zechariah saying. You are no good. You are filthy. You need to be destroyed. You deserve to be destroyed. And Jesus stands up and he doesn't say, no, they don't. He doesn't get in the argument. The text says, the Lord rebukes you. He simply does not get into the discussion. It's my choice, and I choose Jerusalem. I choose my people. They are chosen. I've taken them out of that. And then what I like about this vision we're reading here, this fourth vision Zechariah is in, that Zechariah talks while in vision. He talks to the angel. And what does he say in vision? What does Joshua say to him? I need you to follow with me there. I want you to see it. Verse 5. And I said, see, that's Zechariah talking. And I said, let them set a fair mitre on his head. See, before that, if you look back at the text again, look at the text. Verse 3. Now Joshua was clothed with filthy garments and stood before the angel. And he answered and spake unto those that stood by before him, saying, take away the filthy garment. Take away the filthy garments from him. And unto him he said, behold, I have caused thine iniquity to pass from thee, and I will clothe thee with a change of raiment. Isn't this kind of like the Laodicean passage in Revelation? Getting a change of raiment. Now, notice what Jesus says here. When he sees our condition, he is so merciful that he doesn't leave us that way. You see, you don't find a homeless person on the street who is dirty, smelly, and you go buy new clothes and you tell him to put them on over what he has on. Is that what you do? No. You don't want to do that. You want to take him where he can get cleaned and washed up. And so when he's clean then and washed, then you want to bring the new garments. They're no longer filthy. You take those old garments and you throw them away. You don't even try to wash them. You just throw them away. And you give him the new garments. So when Jesus looks at our condition, looks at us as a people, as a church, you see, as a church, we fall far short of what we ought to be. Now, we think individualistically about being saved, and that's good. But the Lord, when he looks at his church. When he looked at Israel, he saw Israel. Maybe I'm not getting across to us. We think so individualistic. God is concerned about this church holistically. What is the spiritual condition of this church? And know this, that any chain, no chain, is any stronger than its weakest link. Am I right about it? And so we must be concerned about each of us. It's not just me, I'm going to be saved. I got my life right. I'm going to heaven. I don't care what about them other people. It's not that kind of attitude. It is us collectively, and Joshua is standing there collectively, representing the sin of the people, of the congregation, of the church of Israel, the church that was in the wilderness, the church that God brought out of Egypt, the church that God blessed and gave the promised land and had the temple and set his name there. Those people that came to such a place that they just stunk up to high heaven, if you please. So much so that God had to just send them out of the land and let the land rest for 70 years. You know the story. I mean, that's how bad we were, Israel of God. And now God is saying, in mercy, he will look at the house of Israel and forgive their sins and forgive their iniquity and actually just removing the sin, cleansing their filthy garments. And then what does he do? He puts on a clean garment, a robe of righteousness. And then Zechariah says, and give him a turban, a diadem, put a crown on his head. And what does that crown signify? What was written on that crown? There you go. Holiness to the Lord. It then depicts, I've taken away those filthy garments. I've given them now these clean, pure garments to stand before me, and I give them a helmet or a crown, and on that crown it says holiness to the Lord. What makes them holy? They have no righteousness. We have no righteousness of our own. All of our righteousness is as filthy rags. Now, let me say this as we look at the story. Satan is there, standing at the right hand, constantly accusing the brethren. And let me say this. When we, and notice this, get this. The children of Israel were brought out of Babylonian captivity, and God was restoring them to their rightful place among society and in their relationship with him. And they were seeking to build or rebuild the temple, and everything they were doing, the enemy was always bringing accusations against them and creating dissension and concern. Let me read a few things out of this chapter, and you read the chapter later. I'll forget about my notes, but listen to this, what she says on page 583 at the bottom, 583. Listen to this, if you will. Please, I think this is very significant. He, talking about Satan, points to the transgression of Israel as a reason why they should not be restored to the favor of God. He claims them as his prey and demands that they be given into his hands. See, Satan is arguing to Christ that these people have sinned. They have transgressed. You need to let them go and let me have them. That's what Satan is arguing. The high priest cannot defend himself, talking about Joshua now, or his people from Satan's accusations, because Satan is right. And what he would say about you and me is right. Now, why will it be right, what Satan says about you and me? We're sinners, yes. I hear something else. Why will it be right? Yes, we're all sinners. That's true. And he will be right from that perspective, but he may call me, well, if you call me a murderer, he may be right about that too. I've thought things at times I had to repent for, so I guess I'm a murderer too. But he might accuse me of a few things that I haven't done. I don't know. There's some things I haven't done. I mean, I've done a lot of stuff. But why, when he makes his accusations concerning me, us as a people in general, why will he be right? because he tempts us and he knows what we're doing. He knows what he gets you and me to do. That's his whole plan, to cause us to fail. And so what he does is he causes us to fail. He entices us, he tempts us, and then he turns to Christ when we fail and say, see, I told you they weren't sincere. I told you they didn't mean it. I told you they were just faking it. I told you they shouldn't have baptized them. Hello. What I'm saying here is that the devil knows. But when you and I are in collusion with the devil, Satan, in accusing the brethren, that's just what we are. We are complicit with the enemy. Anytime we are judging our fellow brothers, we're complicit, we're colluding with the enemy, the adversary of our souls, the accuser of the brethren. We are judging others, and we are aiding the devil in trying to destroy souls. Anytime we speak negative about the church, anytime we speak negative, listen to me, I really want to get this. This thing hit me the other day when I was in the study. Anytime we speak negatively about the church and her progress, we are in collusion with the adversary of souls. Why is it not good for us to talk about the condition of the church and to speak negatively about the brethren and what they do and what they don't do, etc., etc.? Why does that fit in the category of being in collusion with the enemy? John 7, Jesus there says that we ought not judge. And then if we're going to judge, he says, judge righteously. But we can't judge righteously because we don't know. We don't know. We simply are speculating. Yes, we see things and it looks so clear to us that this is what I see. But Jesus says that we ought to judge righteously. He says, I judge no man. Jesus. But when I do judge, if I judge, he says, my judgment is true. See, Jesus doesn't judge at all, he says. I'm not judging, condemning. What did he say to the woman caught in adultery? He says, neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. See, Jesus knows. And the text says that he doesn't even bring up a railing accusation against the devil himself. He simply says, I rebuke you. He doesn't deal with stuff like that. But the devil, he knows what he's got us tripped up in doing. Now, I don't know. I will be speculating about anything I say about the church. Someone said something to me, was it last night or night before last? I was just leaving prayer meeting, the 10 days of prayer, and somebody said something to me, and when it was done, when it was said, I said to myself, why do they have to tell me that? It was negative. It was about the church. It was their speculation. And I've been in conversation with quite a few people lately. Matter of fact, brother came a couple weeks ago and sat down. I need to talk with you. Okay, let's talk. And he began lambasting the church. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I understand. And I had to stop him and said, brother, I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know. How do you know? Well, this is Facebook. It's on Facebook and it's on something else. You see it like that, you know. And I was trying to say, well, brother, why don't you go talk to this person? And then you'll know exactly. Sometimes when people are talking, they say things, like when I'm speaking, I say things, that's not what I meant to say. It just came out wrong, you know. Things get twisted and you may misunderstand. So we may need to spend 30 minutes to try to understand exactly what I said and meant by what I said. I mean, I know what I said, but I didn't mean it like you thought I meant it, you know. We need to sit and talk. So, but when you start judging because of what you heard, that's not necessarily what I said. And then that begins to snowball. And it gets ugly and it's negative and it becomes a discouragement to the folk, to the church. And that's the work of the devil. Hear me, folk. Because there's a lot of stuff going on in our church, not just the small church. But I'm not down in California. I'm not a member of that church. Now, somebody said they did this and did that. Okay, I don't know. I can't make a judgment on that. I'm not there. I didn't see it. I didn't hear it. I did not experience it. But I'm not going to let that discourage me in my faith. See, that's what the devil does. He takes that little bit and it discourages people who are striving, who are standing before the Lord and wants to be filled with His Spirit and move forward. And we think that, well, I'm the only one going to heaven. I'm the only one righteous. You hear what the preacher is saying. And when we think that, we are already in the camp with the accuser of the brethren. When you read through this chapter, and I encourage you to read through this chapter, boy, listen to this on page 585. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna close out here in just a minute, folk. Listen to this down near the last paragraph, second to the last paragraph, 185. It says, "Over every soul that is rescued from the power of evil, over every soul that is rescued from the power of evil, and whose name is registered in the Lamb's book of life, the controversy is repeated." Talking about Joshua standing before the Lord and the accuser of the brethren there. And listen to what she says, the next word. "Never, never is one received into the family of God without exciting the determined resistance of the enemy." Never. So as soon as one comes into the family of God, immediately the devil's at work to unsettle minds. The person that has come into the family and the church family in general. You hear what I'm saying, folk? Not only does he just attack, like, you know, we had a baptism a few weeks ago. 3 were baptized. And I said to him, you know, the devil gets angry. He's angry with you, yes. But he becomes angry with the whole church. It's not just them. And then people in the church become in relationship with the enemy and start saying things, and people start hearing things, and they become discouraged. That's it. When they came out of Babylonia captivity, they were interested in rebuilding the temple. But they had so much opposition, they found it difficult to do. And they were becoming disheartened and were well nigh ready to give up. That's what the Pen of Inspiration tells us. They were well nigh ready to give up. And this vision of God to Zechariah and to the people is, I'm with you. Don't you worry about what the enemy says about you. I will remove those filthy garments. I'll forget about your sin. I'll give you not only a robe of righteousness, but I will put on you a royal diadem that will say, holiness to the Lord. You will be holy to me because I am holy. Not because you did the right thing, but because of my great mercy, my great love for you. I did it for me. That's what Ezekiel says, that I did it for me, not for you, but for my name's sake. When you read Ezekiel, that's what he says. I did it. I've given you a new heart, a new mind for my name's sake, says the Lord. He didn't try to argue with Lucifer. He simply said, I rebuke you. I have chosen them. And you and I are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood. You see, now you move into the individual. We are a royal priesthood. We are to be priests and kings unto the Lord our God. And then the last phrase there, you can read in that same, I forget which verse it is, but in that same page 585, I'm closing with this now. By virtue of his merits, if they walk in his ways and keep his statutes, they would be men, and shall I say women, men and women who were wondered at. What does that mean? He says, if you do that, then I will give you a place to walk among those who are here. That's the same passage we read over in Revelation. I think it's Revelation 3. The commitment to those who are faithful, those that endure to the end. I will give you a new name. I will give you the power, the grace to walk among those in the new earth. But he also says that while you walk now, I will make you a wonder among men. In other words, when they see you, they would say, there's something about that person that truly they have the holiness of God. They have God's character written upon them. They are uniquely different. And that's how each of us, and collectively as a church, we ought to be a people that cause wonder. Oh, how they love one another. That kind of love and care and concern one for another. Not accusations, not pointing fingers, but loving and caring. So much so that when individuals are out in the world, they see us, they ought to wonder at the peace and the tranquility we have. Not because we don't have problems. Yes, we have problems. Yes, we have challenges. Yes. But we also have a living God who's interceding for us, who has crowned us with this royal diadem that says, you are mine, holiness unto the Lord. And we ought then to be a holy, peculiar people in this judgment hour. And that's why I want to appeal to us. Let's be holy. Let's not join in collusion with the adversary of souls, pointing out our problems. Yes, we have problems. Yes, we're sinners. Yes, we deserve it. Yes, we have been punished. But yes, thanks be to God, we have also been forgiven and drawn next to him. We're like that sheep that wandered and went astray, and Jesus went out and picked it up, and just to show the other sheep in the fold that sheep was all right with him, what did Jesus do? Picked him up, put him in his arms, and brought him back into the fold. That's each of us, in his arms, forgiven, his name written upon us. We are his in spite of ourselves, in spite of what we've gone through. The church as a whole is his church. It's not ours, it's his. We individually are not our own. We are his. Holiness unto the Lord. May God help us to be that kind of people. Folks, I'm going to stop right there. And as we prepare for the Holy Communion, let me